The following program is being brought to you on the Seventh Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit seventhwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome. It's time for expansion. It's time for vibrational attunement and channeled messages with the mothers. This is Conscious Conversations with Angela Blaha. In our program today, you will learn about new states of consciousness and seek unity within yourself. Now, here is your host, Angela Blaha.
Welcome, everyone, to Conscious Conversations. I am Angela Blaha, and my beautiful guest today is Angela Mandato. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Thank you so much. It's a joy to be here.
So today we are consciously raising the vibration, and we're doing it by talking about healing. But first, we're going to start with a grounding meditation and healing transmissions. And so, Angela, when you are ready to take us on our journey, please, let's start.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'd like to begin by inviting everyone who's on the call to come fully present into this moment, for this next hour, to really, really show up fully for yourself. So I invite you to take some really deep cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. I invite you to sit comfortably wherever you are, to feel yourself anchored and rooted and grounded on the planet and in your body. As you take these deep cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, and feel yourself really, really engaged in your body. Visualize roots coming out of your feet into the ground, into Mother Earth, and going all the way to the center and to the core of the earth. Notice your breath. Notice your heartbeat. Notice the way you feel as you are totally present and anchored in your body. Visualize your crown chakra wide open and ready to receive. I invite you to sit with what it is truly that you need the very most right now in this moment. What is your heart longing for? And be in that space where you are open to receive miracles. Staying with the breath, feeling your spine very elongated and tall and straight. Feeling your belly soft. And just noticing the truth of whatever is there. Whether it's grief or anger, sadness, joy, curiosity. Or if you don't even know what's there, just be present with what is there. So in this next conversation, I would like to infuse you with a blast of light. I take this moment to call upon all of my guides, guardian angels, healers, and helpers, and the higher self and divine of each one of us who are on this call, so that it is a co-creative experience. We connect ourselves soul to soul, and we begin the communication between my soul, Angela Blaha's soul, and the soul of each one of you listening. And I invite you to say these words out loud to yourself. I love myself. I love myself. And then if you take a moment and you ask yourself, in this moment, how accurate is that statement? On a scale of 1 to 100, how much do you actually love yourself right now? And just sit with that number and notice, begin to take notice and to become aware of what percent that you don't love about yourself. And begin to sit with that part, that percentage of what you don't love about yourself. What you find unlovable, undeserving, and unworthy. And just notice what that number is. And later on in the call, we can check in and see if that number has changed. It's really nice to just start with a number so that you know where you are. To just acknowledge where you are right now. And I place the prayer and the intention that that number is much higher by the end of this call. I invite you to feel into your belly and feel into your heart. And if you had the great gift and grace of your fairy godmother flying into the room and could grant you any wish, what would it be? What would the first wish be? Many people believe that their first wish would be something material. But I invite you to go even deeper than what the material wish would be. If you could have anything, what would it be? And just rest in seeing what that is. And come back to the breath. Deep cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. We feel our divine self, the highest aspects of ourself, being totally rooted and grounded and anchored into this physical body for this human experience right now. Feel what that is like to be totally and completely aligned with your physical human self and your divine self. And whatever it is that you are desiring to hear, feel, experience, or know, we place the question and the intention into the ethers so that all of us may feel those questions and to feel those answers come to you, whether they are in the form of any words that are spoken or through an awareness and an awakening within the self. As you're staying with this breath, we all make the commitment that we will be completely and totally present to just see and to witness what is there. And then to bring healing and light and an infusion of grace, an acknowledgement of miracles. One more deep cleansing breath and let it all go. And just drop in to being totally present on this call, in this moment, with these voices, and a commitment to carry that intention in every moment beyond that. Being present with your own voice, being present with all those around you, and being present to a deeper truth that lives within you and wants to be expressed. Begin to feel your body again. Feel your fingers and your hands and your toes, your feet. Begin to wiggle your body, stretch your shoulders and your neck. Feel yourself able to settle down and settle in and just receive guidance from your own divine. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you so much.
Wow, Angela, that was amazing.
Thank you so much. So while we're in our conversation today, my intention is that there will be some infusion and some transmission taking place to do something that is behind the scenes. on some level, we could really talk about anything. It doesn't really matter what we talk about if we're very, very present and we go into that field where all the magic and miracles can happen and really show up for one another. And that being said, I hold the space for whatever answers are needed to come through in whatever form. And I'll be just as excited and interested as they happen as the rest of you will.
Well, I want to talk just a little bit about being open to receiving miracles. So, we are, as a society, I don't think we're very open to receiving very often at all. And to receive miracles, like what's the deeper meaning for that?
It's a beautiful question, and I would like to address the feminine aspect of that to begin with, because women in particular, because we are generally very giving and very nurturing, and most of us are mothers, and even if we haven't given birth to a child, we are generally taught to give and to be in service. And so that's part of our DNA and it's part of our makeup. So as we are focused more on giving, one of the challenges is learning how to receive and the balance. As everyone's completely aware that our earth is a bit out of balance right now. There's more aggression on the planet than that divine feminine. And so for all of us, for men and women to really feel active in our feminine self, our divine self, it's very important to learn how to receive and to really open ourselves up. One of the things that prevents us from being able to receive miracles is we go into the mind and we assume that we know reality, and we know that, for example, it's just not possible to walk on water. And yet we've had more than one person in history say, all the things that you thought you knew to be true are not necessarily true. And if you could just drop into your heart, drop out of your mind, drop into your heart, then you could be open to all kinds of things that were not there before. So for many people, it takes actually seeing a miracle before they're willing to open themselves up to more. But if a person is really open, there's a saying that says, we live our life believing that there are no miracles or that everything is a miracle. And in truth, everything is a miracle. And when we have the ability to really become one with nature, to become one with ourselves, and to become one with all of life, we have the direct experience of everything being extremely miraculous. I mean, just the fact that we exist is absolutely miraculous. But when we're in a deep state of grief or sadness or trauma, it's very, very difficult to see that.
Right.
So the foundation of my life is that I believe that the universe is conspiring on my behalf in every single moment of my life. And, I've had quite a few experiences where it seemed like it was completely the opposite of that. But later I realized that if I hadn't gone through those dark times, those shadow times, that I wouldn't have the gifts and the tools that I have now to do the things that I need to do. So all of the darkness, the shadow, the pain, the trauma was absolutely miraculous and exactly what I needed in order to help me in my next evolution of growth.
Right. That it's very true, but it's really hard to see that when we're in the midst of it. We're going to take a little bit of a short break, and we're going to come right back with Angela Mandato.
We're making it easier to listen to the Voice America Talk Radio Network live wherever you go on iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android. Download it from the Apple iTunes App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market.
In Angela's book, Show Me How to Remember Your Power Through Self-Love and Forgiveness, you'll find an empowering book filled with messages of love and forgiveness. She gives powerful ways to use your own courage, strength, and love to heal your emotional and mental body. You can find the book at Amazon or visit Angela's website at angelablaha.com. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats. Step back into your power. Get Angela's Show Me's at angelablaha.com.
Take us on the go. It's even easier now. The Voice America Talk Radio Network has launched our mobile app for iPhone, Android, or BlackBerry. Visit the Apple iTunes App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market to download the app powered by Aircast. It's free and no registration is necessary. In minutes, you could be enjoying your favorite Voice America Talk Radio host, no matter where you are. In the car, out and about, while traveling, or anytime you can't be close to your computer. Catch up on the archives you've missed or discover new shows on the spot. Search Voice America at your favorite app store.
Get the news on our shows and other happenings by following us on Twitter. Find us at VoiceAmericaTRN or twitter.com/VoiceAmericaTRN.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations. To connect with Angela Blaha or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to angelablaha005@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Angela Mandato. And Angela, before we went to the break, you had said, we assume we know reality. I love that statement because what is really reality, right? I mean, I question myself about that all the time. And reality for me isn't when I am in those darker spaces. Like this last week I've been sick, and so it's been, those are times when I kind of go into those darker spaces of, I try to release and allow light to come in, but there's just something about those times when that space, it's hard to hold the light space. So, but then I ask, well, is this really reality, or am I just, what's really happening here? So questioning reality, I think is probably my favorite thing to do. Does that make sense?
So I would love to respond to that, and I would love to begin with, for those people who see reality as black and white and it is the way it is, and you're not going to talk me out of this reality that I'm experiencing. What I'd like to share is that there are many, many doorways into other dimensions and into the divine and into total healing. So for many of us who are in the spiritual world, we can say, well, let me take a spiritual class or do yoga or chanting or anything that's positive, that brings light and positive energy and maybe raises my Kundalini energy or helps me to go into very positive places. And there's a doorway and a portal through that. But I'd like to also talk about the fact that no matter where you are, for people who go through let's say if your body is your house, you go into the subconscious and you go into the basement where things are just icky and dark and painful and terrifying, that there's a portal and a doorway both directions. So even if you're stuck in this reality, what seems to be reality, if you go into it deep enough, if you go into those dark corridors where all the spider webs are and the lights are off and it's scary, if you go in deep enough, there's a doorway there that opens up into the divine that can be so exquisite and so beautiful and so joyful. And, we know this in many ways, and one of the ways is through the death process, or when a person is very, very sick and in extreme pain, and they finally just let go and they drop their body and they go into this tunnel of bliss. But that can happen without dropping the body as well. Mm-hmm. So whether we believe that the reality that we're experiencing is real or not. If we believe it's real, there's still a doorway that leads to something much more beautiful. And if we question that reality and that doorway and we just shift our perspective, then that's a much easier way. But either way is possible. And there are many, many ancient techniques, ancient yoga techniques, breathing techniques, and spiritual practices that can take people into, in a matter of a few minutes even, just seeing a whole another reality because they've been able to change their brain chemistry, either through activating the Kundalini energy in the body and raising it up to bring bliss throughout the body, or, many other methods. But and even just taking a nap, something as simple as just taking a nap, going to sleep, we have the opportunity to awaken to a whole new reality by just getting rest and just taking ourselves offline. Right. So I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the practices of Abraham Hicks' teachings, and that is, Esther Hicks speaks about this a lot, about staying really general when we're in pain, and being very specific when we're very joyful, adding more and more joy to our plate. But bliss can be found a bazillion different ways, and even through suffering, through tremendous suffering and letting go. There's this place of absolute bliss where no matter what a person is experiencing, it can take them to a place of bliss if they allow it.
That's interesting.
Even the breakup of a marriage, deterioration of a body, a loss of a job, loss of a house, loss of a loved one, all of that can take a person into bliss if they're able to be completely present in the moment. Mm-hmm. And it's through that presence that there's a doorway that opens. There's a portal where whatever is happening can at least be expanded. So I think of it like, let's say someone is in front of me and they're blowing cigar smoke in my face, and it's just really, really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. If I allow myself to just rest and not focus on the cigar smoke, but just allow myself to just be very, very relaxed, then that smoke sort of begins to dissipate in a room, and it's less noticeable and less noticeable. And then we remove the house, and it expands all the way out into the ethers. I don't even really notice that it's there. It's just part of the whole and part of the all. So if it's right in front of us, it's natural that we're going to want to focus on that, but it's very important to not focus on that. Whatever problem we're having, we stop thinking about the problem and we just focus on God, or we just let go. Even for people who are atheist or agnostic, they can just let go and just have go into a place of nothing. And just doing something very simple can change our reality. If we focus on whatever it is that we don't like, we're just creating more of it. So it's really counterproductive.
Right, very counterproductive. So, when you were doing the little grounding meditation and you had asked us to say, I love myself out loud, I found that hard to do.
Well, you'll be among a large number of people.
I know, right? That's why I brought it up. We say it to ourselves in silence, but speaking it, there was something about hearing yourself say the words, I love myself, right? Mm-hmm. What is that about, do you think?
Well, we stop loving ourselves because we listen to all the feedback around us from people who don't have the capacity to see our divinity.
Right.
And then we get all kinds of negative feedback. But it's a really, really important question to ask, and that's why we started off that way, because if you at least know, you have some kind of number, whatever that number is, that in many ways is let's say your connection with your divine. Let's say you are a machine that can produce all kinds of amazing things, but you need to be plugged into a wall socket that has electricity moving through it, and that electricity is the divine and source. So whatever your number is, let's say your number is 20%, then you're only receiving about 20% flow of electricity into your being to do the things that you want to do. So the other 80% would be a number that is blocking that or hindering the divine to actually move through us.
Wow.
Would you like to share your number, or would you prefer to keep it quiet?
I couldn't get quite past the I love myself when I said it out loud. So I didn't really come up with a number, but let's see if I sit here for a moment. Probably around 90%. Okay.
So if we take a moment and look at that 90%, so the 10% that you find unlovable is, often related to regret and disappointment and insecurity. But that regret, disappointment, and insecurity, and there's many other reasons for that number as well. That part of us is not fully alive. It's not fully engaged. So we have the capacity to create miracles in our life so profoundly when we are fully engaged in life. And in order to be fully engaged in life, we need to really love ourselves. And I mean love ourselves 100% fully and completely.
Right.
And sometimes it takes a long time to get there. But if we were able to give ourselves some compassion and say, my God, look what I've been through. If I look at all the traumatic things I've been through, all the stressors, the fact that my number is 90, that's amazing. I'm amazed that it's 90%. The fact that I could go through all the things I've been through and only be 10% off, wow, that's incredible. I'm starting to love myself more by the second just thinking about it.
Right. I've worked a lot this lifetime. I'm getting that number up there.
Exactly.
I totally understand. I totally understand the three: the regret, disappointment, and insecurity. I think I'm kind of like spanning through that insecurity thing right now by, becoming so vocal about, who I am and why I'm here and the radio show and everything. And so I really totally get those three, key components that sort of stop us or hold us back in our tracks from loving us 100%. And do we ever get there? Do we ever get to 100%?
Yes. I'd like to give you an example. I had a client the other night who came to me who was just absolutely brokenhearted. And he shared with me that his partner had decided to leave him. She was giving herself a Mother's Day gift, and she was leaving him because she didn't want to spend the last years of her life living with an alcoholic. And he totally got it. He totally understood. And he was just such a beautiful human being. And he was totally surrendered to the fact that he was alcoholic. And he and I were just able to gaze into each other's eyes, and I just felt my heart just encompassing this man who was so surrendered and yet in so much pain. And I asked him to say those words, I love myself, and what was his number? And his number was 100%.
Wow.
He loved himself 100% in spite of the fact that he was alcoholic, and he knew he couldn't do anything about it. He did not have the capacity within him to not be an alcoholic in order to change enough for the woman who he loved to stay with him. And yet he loved himself. And he was compassionate with himself, and he knew what he needed. He just needed some healing. He needed some touch. He needed someone to be compassionate with him, and he knew he would be okay if he just had a nice, gentle massage and someone to see him and witness him and care about him. And regardless of what it is that we experience, no matter where we are, whether there's an addiction, a heartbreak, whatever it is, we can still love ourselves and be surrendered to this process of life and trust that something's happening and it's bigger than us.
Right. Exactly. So what are some of the miracles?
It was that self-love for him that said, I know what I need. And he set about to get it.
And then opening up to receive what you need, right? Because that's the other key component, I think, in our world is that we just don't open up to receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the miracles that you have witnessed? Miracle healings.
Oh goodness. One of the miracles I'd like to talk about is, when we were talking about the ability to walk on water, for example, I have been the recipient of some incredible miracles through psychic surgery. And when I say, to be clear about what psychic surgery is, some people just think of it as energy medicine, but I'm talking specifically about a Filipino healer who has the ability to just channel in the divine, and he can hold his hands over a person's body, feel wherever there's tumors or cancer or whatever, and then just put his hand right down into a person's body. The body opens up, a little bit of blood splashes out, but the person laying there only feels like a warm sensation, and he can just reach in with his bare hands, pull out the tumor, and the body will close up right behind him. So I had been, introduced to this psychic surgeon, a particular psychic surgeon by the name of Romy. When I was about 16, 17 years old, there was a tragic accident that took place with a relative of mine, and so he was called in to do some work, and there was a bone that was chipped off of his spine, and the surgeon just reached in and pulled out that chip of bone and did all kinds of things, and my relative was able to walk. Anyway, so, I was exposed to that many years ago, and then a while back, a few years ago, I ended up having breast cancer, and I went back to see him, and I had 4 lumps, and he just reached in and pulled them out. And I'd had several surgeries from him, and that were just absolutely amazing. There was just a point where, for me, I knew I needed to see why, to having an illness, for example, there was a moment where I was shown why I had those tumors. And the reason I had that breast cancer was because several years ago I went through a severe depression and some heartbreak, and I just said I wanted to die. I just wanted to end it. I wanted it to be over with. Mm. So my body, being so loving and compliant, said, okay, and it just began to break down in the area of my body that was the most vulnerable. And something shifted in my life, and I had all kinds of joyful things come in my life, and I decided that I wanted to live. But I had started this trajectory in my body of it breaking down. I didn't know this. I didn't decide, I want to wake up and have cancer one day. It happened, but later on when I was in a ceremonial state where I was really looking, I was shown the very moment that disease began, that those tumors began to form in my body. And when I saw that moment and I saw the thought behind it, and I saw how much my body loved me by creating that illness, and I had so much compassion for myself of what I was going through, and I said, okay, I just need this to be healed now. And I was put in contact with this psychic surgeon. And so he just reached in and took it out, and it was gone. And it was over with. It was that simple. And I had known for many years that I wanted to study with him. So a few years back, I said to him, many years ago, I said, I want to study with you. I want to learn how to do what you do to whatever degree I can in any form of Then he said, okay, well, then what you need to do is you need to come to the Philippine Islands with me, and you need to study with my teachers, and you need to come to the Holy Mountains. And so I did that. I went to the Philippine Islands on High Holy Day. It was during Easter time. And we went into these sacred caves, and I expected to see these, elderly Filipino healers there. And what I saw were pictures of Jesus and Mother Mary. Turns out he's Catholic, and he used the Bible. He was able to use the Bible to gain certain energies and go right down into my body. But he gave me a blessing, and then he allowed me to assist him. He activated my hands, and he allowed me to assist him while he was doing surgery on many other people. So there were cases where a woman had been through so much trauma, and she had many tapeworms in her body. And the tapeworms had been killed. She'd done parasite cleanses, but the tapeworms were so large, they were lodged in, like, in her knees and different places, that it would have been almost impossible to reach them, even in her brain. And he would just reach in, and he would grab a hold of this dead tapeworm, and then he'd say, "Here, Angela, grab a hold, help me pull it out." And I would grab a hold of one end, and he would, with his fingers, would just be like this flying laser that would just, take it out. And then the body just closed right behind. It was just so incredible.
Wow.
And we had the intentions of taking many people back there. But unfortunately, 2 weeks after this trip, he ended up passing away of a heart attack, which was just absolutely devastating for me, because I was so looking forward to exposing many, many people to the miracles that were available just through that. And for him, it was just his direct connection with God. And he said Jesus was one of his guides. And it had come out in conversation that he was believed to be one of the apostles with Jesus who worked closely in that lifetime. And I would not doubt it at all. The man was absolutely phenomenal. Right. But what was a really big growth opportunity for me is that I was really surprised that he actually got energy from the Bible to do it. So it was quite a fascinating thing, because I've seen many different traditions, and I hadn't experienced that kind of thing with the Bible yet. Mm-hmm. And he also introduced me to another woman, a woman by the name of Esther, who is alive in the Philippine Islands. And on Easter Sunday, this woman, she gave this beautiful sermon, and then in the small church, and it had about 60 people, and she just lined people up one after the other. Everybody was in the room just one by one, taking things out, doing miraculous healings. And she took a tumor out of my stomach as well that I didn't even know was there. It was really, really incredible. It took things out of my heart. So I've had many physical miracles that way.
We're going to take a little short break, and we're going to be right back with Angela Mandato.
We're making it easier to listen to the Voice America Talk Radio Network live wherever you go on iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android. Download it from the Apple iTunes App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market.
In Angela's book, Show Me How to Remember Your Power Through Self-Love and Forgiveness, you'll find an empowering book filled with messages of love and forgiveness. She gives powerful ways to use your own courage, strength, and love to heal your emotional and mental body. You can find the book at Amazon or visit Angela's website at angelablaha.com. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats. Step back into your power. Get Angela's Show Me's at angelablaha.com.
Take us on the go. It's even easier now. The Voice America Talk Radio Network has launched our mobile app for iPhone, Android, or BlackBerry. Visit the Apple iTunes App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market to download the app powered by Aircast. It's free and no registration is necessary. In minutes, you could be enjoying your favorite Voice America Talk Radio host, no matter where you are. In the car, out and about, while traveling, or anytime you can't be close to your computer. Catch up on the archives you've missed, or discover new shows on the spot. Search Voice America at your favorite app store.
Get the news on our shows and other happenings by following us on Twitter. Find us at VoiceAmericaTRN or twitter.com/VoiceAmericaTRN.
You You are listening to Conscious Conversations. To connect with Angela Blaha or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to angelablaha005@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Angela Blaha, and I'm here with Angela Mandato today. And we are talking about all kinds of healing. And we're just talking about psychic healing, which is so intriguing to me. I love how we have the ability to heal ourselves without drugs, alcohol, modern day medicine, and that we have the ability to do it through like channeling, right? Channeling higher power, our higher power.
Yes. Many, many, many ways for miraculous healing.
So let's talk a little bit about that, Angela, about how we're so connected through unity. Yeah, through unity consciousness, right? How we're connected and how we can all experience these types of great healings with just knowing and understanding how we're connected.
Yes, we are all totally connected through unity consciousness, and because of that, it's a really wonderful way to bring healing. Because if we understand that we are all completely connected, then we can have healing just through the energetic, emotional aspect. So, for example, we've been talking about physical healing, and now if we talk about emotional healing, I'd like to invite all of you to have an experience in the next few minutes. So if you can bring before you energetically anyone who's ever hurt you, and maybe just take one person at a time, someone who's really hurt you, who you feel sadness or grief or disappointment with. Because you and I are connected to this person, we are all feeling each other. I can actually be the voice of that person to bring healing, and you can be the voice of someone else as well. So for this next few minutes, I invite you to just bring someone in front of you that you need healing with. And gaze into their eyes. And then close your eyes and just feel into your heart. And just express the disappointment, the sadness, the anger, whatever it is that you feel to this person. And allow me to be the voice of that person responding to you. On behalf of all men and on behalf of all women, and behalf of all of humanity, I would like to say to you that I am so sorry. I am so sorry that I did not treat you well. I'm sorry that I did not consider your needs. I'm sorry that I disappointed you. I'm sorry that I wasn't as awake and aware as I needed to be in order for you to not suffer. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for not knowing better, for not seeing, for not being compassionate with myself or with you. Please forgive me for anything I've ever done to hurt you. Thank you for all the good that you did for me. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for being a mirror and witnessing me. Thank you for your love. I love you with all of my heart. I always have loved you. And this has been difficult for me too. I love you with all of my being, and I trust that in time there will be compassion for me, compassion for you, and there will be deep understanding for all. In spite of the way I've treated you and not treated you, I invite divine energy and grace to move through both of us, through all of us in this situation, and to help all of us to heal and to release the suffering and the barricades of being heart to heart. May our hearts be united. May we honor each other. May we witness one another. You deserved much better than what I gave you. And I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you with all that I am. And we see this other person receiving this message. We see ourselves receiving this message. We see ourselves offering healing to those around us. We release any cords connected that would draw life force energy away, and we connect our energy with our own divine. And we begin to realize that we are not dependent on these people or anybody else for our nurturing, for our prosperity, for our security. We have all that we need through our connection with our own divine. And they have all that they need through their connection with their divine. We are all totally loved and supported. And our divine has a plan that is so great, far greater than what either of us could ever imagine for ourselves. We surrender to that and we trust the divine unfolding for all involved with so much love and gratitude. And now we take a moment and we begin to focus very intensely on everything that we are grateful for. Every good thing that this person did for us. Every good thing that we did for this person. The exchange of energy and the acknowledgement that there were no perpetrators, there were no victims, and there needs to be no rescuers, that we are all whole and complete in our divinity. We are safe and we are supported. And we are deeply, deeply loved and cherished. And so it is. And we see all these conversations just fading into the distance, and we feel ourselves completely encompassed in a ball of light, a gigantic ball of light. We feel our heart expanding, and we notice that on some level we can't tell the difference between where our body ends and all of life begins. We see that we are all one. We acknowledge that each one of us have created these difficult times for our own personal growth. And we thank all the players for being there for us so that we could grow and become who we are becoming. And we make a commitment to spend some time in nature, to place our spine against the trunk of a tree and connect with Mother Earth and our own personal divine today. And now I invite all of you to just tune in for a moment to your own body and the way you feel and say the words out loud. I love myself. And notice what that number is now. And then ask yourself what happened between the first number and the last number. And just make a little mental note on how you can access that again when times are difficult. And to remember that we are so loved and we are so nourished and so held by our divine and this beautiful Mother Earth. And all of life is conspiring on our behalf. Thank you so much.
Wow, Angela. You know, I find it super interesting how the I love myself number, once I was connected into total unity consciousness, like you can't help but be at 100%, right?
Right.
Because you know that everything that you do, say, everything that you think is affecting everyone else. And so how could you not love yourself at 100% or more? Right?
I love the or more part. That's great.
Well,
that's the best.
Wow, that's just so, I mean, it's, these little tiny things that we do in life have such huge impact. And we don't pay attention to those. Like this beautiful healing that everyone, all the listeners and everyone got just now. Like that's huge. That's tremendous gift for healing. And being consciously connected is what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Remembering that we're just pure love and that we are, connected at all the time.
Yes. All the time, in every second and every moment.
Yes.
And when we put a prayer out there, the answers come. Mm-hmm. That vibration that we have, it calls exactly who we need and what we need in the very next moment. Mm-hmm. But we get attached to thinking that love is supposed to come through a particular person, or that prosperity is supposed to come from a particular direction. But if we know that we're loved and we know that we're held and we're prosperous, it's going to come from wherever it comes from. Mm-hmm. It will just show up. It can't not. We have to put our own self in that vibration of attraction and just show up and be present.
Right.
Be engaged in life, because the flow of prosperity, love, whatever it is that health, healing, it comes to us. The more engaged we are, the stronger the flow is. Mm-hmm. And even then, when we're not fully engaged, there's so much grace that sometimes we just get scooped up and held when we're not doing anything and we don't even have the capacity to ask for help. Sometimes we just let go and it will just show up.
Right. That letting go, I think, is sometimes the most powerful ways to heal. Right?
Yeah.
Just getting ourselves out of the way and allowing it to happen.
Getting out of our own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Angela, you've seen some, and you've probably done some amazing, powerful healings throughout your life. So, briefly, do you want to share just one of those?
Yes. I had a client who has had the most traumatic life of anybody I've ever witnessed. And she was a victim of child pornography when she was young. She was drugged, abused from the time she was very, very young. And during our healing session, there was a very powerful energy that came through and she had dissociative personality disorder was the label. And so it was this personality of this young woman that came forward, and I just held her hand. And we went back to that place where she was being videoed and traumatized. And we just brought so much light and so much love. And what I was shown was that light went in through that camera to all those videos of pornography and literally brought light and blinded all the people, all the people who had seen that video or been any part of it. And then that light continued and went to all children, all men and women who had been sexually abused or abused in any way. We just saw it traveling and traveling and traveling. And what I was shown was that this amazing soul had signed up for this horrific experience because she loves humanity so much that she was willing to subject herself to that trauma in order to have access to that particular vibration so that the vibration of love and light could follow that path so profoundly and go in and create healing for so many. And she was completely transformed by that and had a sense of feeling like she had actually done something really good for humanity because she had backstage access to that vibration. So she knew what everyone who had experienced something like that before had felt, and she could bring healing.
Yeah, that's
very, very powerful.
That is super powerful.
Yeah.
And
so if we can look at our lives through the eyes of empowerment and know that everything that's ever been done has been done through love. She subjected herself on a soul level because she loves humanity so much, and she was able to do profound work, profound healing work.
Right.
And then I was grateful for the difficult times that I had had in my life that gave me access to her vibration. It's like it was sort of a chain of command. I hadn't experienced anything nearly as much as she had, but I had experienced enough to have access to that and to be shown what to do. It was really, really powerful.
Right.
So if we look at even when we've caused trauma or received trauma, that it's all been on a soul level, it's been through love.
Right. I talk about that frequently to clients and people in the retreats that I speak at, and everybody sort of just looks at me in disbelief and dismay, right? But it is very powerful. When we turn it around and we come from the perspective of love, healing happens almost instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to say
especially
thank you.
If a person can work through the guilt and shame.
Right.
She was stuck with guilt and shame, and when she saw that she hadn't done anything wrong, and in fact she had just shown up through love, it changed everything.
Right. Right. So, Angela, I want to say thank you so much today. Our time is up, unfortunately, but maybe we'll have you back again. So thank you for the beautiful healings that you expressed through us and to us today. And again, everyone, if you're listening in and you have, some comments or, your feedback on all of the shows are very, very welcomed. So until next week, have an amazing week, everyone, and all my love to each and every one of you.
Thank you for tuning into this week's edition of Conscious Conversations. Be sure to join Angela Blaha for another edition next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America 7th Wave channel. Until our next meeting, have an extraordinary week.
Thanks again for listening to the preceding program brought to you on the 7th Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit 7thwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.